Hello, thank you for viewing this video. I'm going to go over the most important lines of code or scripts that are inside your game right now. The first script that we're going to take a look at is simple starting resolution script, which is basically just setting up the starting resolution of the game. So we are basically at 1280 by 720. That's what we are at. Now we are going to look at ads in it. Now this is a very important script because it actually is your this is the script that's running your ads for you, and you also have your ads ID right here. So this is one of the most important scripts, and you can see that your ad ID is over here, and we are actually you're giving a reward over here as well. This is if the player actually watches the rewarded video for the player live. So that's the code for over here. This is for the rewarded videos, and this is the entire code for that. Other than that, we've got a main menu script. Over here there is a visual script, and the visual script is just handling the various buttons that are on the screen. In the settings menu, we have got another flow machine, which is for the settings menu buttons, and we also have a little control over here, which is for the audio listener, so you can turn your volume on, increase your volume or decrease your volume. In the gun UI, we have a very large script. What we're basically doing is we're changing the image using these two groups of units here, and this is for next button, previous button, that is on the gun selection UI. We set the starting gun over here, and then we actually handle the buy or lock button over here. We also have a super unit over here, which is actually checking whether we have to either show the lock button or the play button. We're going to take a look at these units here, but this is just for play button, click, close button, and lock button. In the lock button, we are actually going to check if the player has enough money to buy a gun. Then we let the player buy a gun. So you can see that over here we're checking whether or not the player has 1,000 coins or not. If he does, then we are simply going to let him buy the gun. This is for the gun UI. And the previous and next buttons, I've got a few units which are actually checking which button was pressed, and they just increase or decrease the value of the array that is handling the button images. We go to player skin. The player skin has actually exactly the same kind of script that you saw previously, except that instead of guns, we have over here we actually have the, if you take a look at over here, we have player images instead of gun images. In the previous script, we had gun images over here. In Purchase Lives UI, we have a simple button over here, and this is actually not being used anymore because we can only purchase lives if we have watched a video. We are using the play button though to load the next level in case the player does not want to purchase lives. Then we have not enough coins handler, which basically just shows the not enough coins dialog if the player does not have enough coins. We have a music object which is playing the music. The other most important scripts you'll find is in the prefabs, so we are going to go over to prefabs, which are over here. We're first going to take a look at player prefabs. These are all the players with the skins. We're going to take a look at the state machine. So we have got a live state, teleport routine, and death state. In the player live state, we are actually making the player go forward automatically. Here we are setting the run state, and here we have got forward movement, which is moving the player automatically forward. Then we have the jump state, which basically just adds a force, jump force. Then we've got a jump function over here, which is going to add a jump force if the player is on the ground using these on collision enter and exit functions. We also have a dead state, which is called whenever the player is dead. And we also have a crouch button handler, which will just change the animation from running to crouch using these units here. In the det, we're just calling the det functions, and we're also making sure that we disable all animations. And then we're just going to reset the scene and set it to game over. You can see this is being handled over here. In the teleport routine, we're basically teleporting the player using the C# script, which is also actually hitting a portal collider script, but I'll show this later. But this is really the teleport routine where we are actually rotating the character, and we are also making sure that no physics can actually affect the player when the player is near the teleporter. This is entire script for the rotation. It'll rotate in the direction of the click. This is the entire unit for that. Then we also have a flow machine called kill enemy. So if we click on an enemy, this the game will shoot a ray from the camera to the enemy, and then we are actually going to see if the ray collides with an enemy. If it does, then the enemy is eliminated using these functions right over here. And we also have turn on the muzzle flash over here. Other than that, we'll take a look at the enemy functions. This is enemy melee. So the enemy melee just goes from the when visible state to move state. The character will move towards the player, and if the enemy is close to a player, it'll call the game over function. Then the player has to decide whether he or she wants to use a life. If he or she wants to use a life, then the game is restarted. Then the game is not restarted, it starts right from there and all enemies are dead. This is the game over state, and this is the hit function. So if the hit function is called and the enemy and the player does not use a life, we call the game over unit over here. And then we have a game over state over here to make sure that we don't keep on attacking the player after he or she is dead. Then we've got the enemy shooting function right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to check whether it's visible or not, and then we're going to move ahead over here. Over here we have got a line renderer to show that laser thing that the player is shooting, then enemy is shooting, and we call the game over state over here. And if we hit the player, then again we're going to wait whether or not the player will use a life, and if he doesn't use a life, then we're going to end the game. These are mainly the two kind of enemies that we have here. So let's play and check things out. So as you can see that this is the game has actually started, and I'm actually going to shut the music down so you can hear me properly. And this is really the game, and these are all of the main menu functions I showed you. And if I go over, the images are changing. This is the dialogue, and I can also purchase coin. Like if I do this will actually be a Google Play dialogue. Right now, because we are in the editor, there's no Google Play dialogue, but will be once it's uploaded. And we can select a gun, then we can select any skin that we want. It's going to load it. Then we have the purchase lives. We watch a video, then we're going to get extra lives, and then we can hit the play button. And over here we're in the game. So you can see that these are the melee enemies, and the laser enemies will come shortly, hopefully. And once they come, you'll see that they will also shoot the laser that I was talking about. There it is. So that's your laser enemy right over there. We'll take a look at some of the scripts that we have. One of the scripts that we have is called the adds init script, like I showed you before, that this is handling the game, the ads. We have a camera follow script, which is basically following the player by just an offset. Then we also have a camera follow script, but we're not using this one. We have a coin collision script, which is basically adding a coin once we adding one coin to the player once we collide. We have a disable collider, which is basically for disabling the collider once collision enter is called when the collider enters the trigger. So this is a disable collider, which will disable the collider, whichever collider we have hit. This is necessary. This is for some of the objects that are in the game. So right now, it's being used by 50 assets. Then we've got an endless handler, which is actually handling the various environments. So what it does is when we have collided with the environment collider, which are colliders inside the environment, we are going to call one of these functions to call one of the 5 environments that are inside the game. The game checks whether or not we are actually in environment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And if we are environment 1, then we'll only call environment 1 environments and not environment 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 environments. So this is the script for that. We've got enemy shooting script, which is basically because the visual scripting tool, it didn't do very well, so I had to create this rotation function for the enemy, which will actually, this is the same laser rotation script that I've written in the visual script, but that wasn't working, so I had to change it to this. We also have face mouse function, but this is not being used. We've got game setup, which is actually setting up the game. Over here we also are setting the ID again, which you can see it's over here, and in fact I'll actually change this ID right now, and that's one of the IDs that I had to change, and I've changed it in front of you right here. And this is basically all of the scripts that are required to set the game up. So if we have clicked revive, like this is the player chance region, so if we have lives, then we are going to call these statements. We're going to run these statements, and this will actually look at all the enemies that are on the screen right now and destroy them, so the player can start again. Then we've got revive no clicked, and this will just end the game. And this is the wait script basically. This is when we are waiting for the player to either click yes or no. And we can also reward the player if he or she wants a reward, so we can reward the player. And here we're also rewarding the player if the player is actually doesn't have any lives, and he or she still wants to revive. Then we have portal collider, which is for the colliders that are inside the portals. So when you collide with one of the portals, this is the script that runs. It basically calls one of the environments over here, and then just spawns it so that the player can actually start walking. We have got a purchase life reward, which I didn't use, so it's empty. We have got a spawn collider, which is spawning the next environment when a non-portal environment and even a portal environment is called over here if we have crossed 5 environments. Then we have the starting resolution, and then we have to purchase coins over here. Thank you. That's the end of the source code walkthrough.